Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Creation Myths. Looks like we're live. This isn't really a show. This is just me trying to make sure that the tech issues I had last time are no longer a problem. Welcome if you're here. If you're here in the live chat, hi, it's nice to see you. I will be asking you periodically how things sound because that's the whole point of this. And then if everything's looking good, I'll just let it run for a little bit. It looks okay. The sound's fine, and the resolution looks okay on YouTube. I just pulled it up, and it looks fine. Chat, you tell me, uh, if it looks okay, but, last time I did a live stream, it looked like I was broadcasting in, 360, and now it looks like 720 at least. So, I think it looks okay. Sound's cutting out? I didn't hear that. Let's see. I'll keep the sound on in my own ears. That's gonna be annoying to have to hear me on a delay. Um, but okay. I guess I'll just keep talking a little bit to see if I hear the sound cutting out. Sound is getting dropped occasionally. That's weird. It's not on my end. Um, alright, well, at the very least, does the video look okay? Because I found out y'all wanna hear what the problem was, with the last stream? So the problem was I had done, I will ask periodically, that's sound is dropping. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, so the problem with the last, stream I did was I had just, like, a couple of days ago done a system update on my computer. I had updated the operating system, and when I did that, it defaulted the internet connection to Wi-Fi. Now I use an Ethernet cable because it's faster, right? And you don't have to worry about it cutting in and out, but it defaulted to Wi-Fi, which the last stream I did that had all the problems was on Wi-Fi. But I have since fixed that. So that seems to have at least dealt with the resolution problem, but the audio is still a problem. So I wonder if that's my mic being weird. You know what? Let me change my audio source and let's see if that affects anything because I really like the way the mic sounds, but if it's not reliable, then no point. All right, so let's see. Let's go here. Um, let's change this to use the built-in iMac mic. Let's Okay, I just changed the audio source. Tell me how it's now. Listening for myself. All right. Oh, so I okay, so that's less good sound. And also it cut out for me as soon as I made the change. Yeah, that sound sucks. We're gonna not use that mic. You know, let's try this one. I've never used this mic before, but why not? Let's use this mic. Let's give it a try, right? Here we go. Okay, now I'm on this mic. See how that sounds. I'm just listening for it. So, oh, that sucks. That's we're not using that. No, no, no. Absolutely not. Yeah, that was terrible. I do sound like a pilot. Yeah. All right. So now we're back to the real mic. Yeah. Turning down sound sensitivity? Maybe. Let me turn it down here. That's a good suggestion. So it's on 2 out of 6, and that's as low as it'll let me go. Maybe it was spiking and that was causing it to cut out. Do I use Audio Hijack Pro for routing audio? No, what this is just StreamYard default everything. Um, but okay, this actually I think that was a good suggestion because I think what might the sound to me doesn't sound quieter than when the mic was on a higher setting. So I think it was probably reducing it because it was too high, and that might have been causing it to cut out. So we're gonna leave it on this setting for now, and, we'll see. Okay. Well, so it looks like we've solved part of the problem at least. The video is well, now the video quality is kind of ass, honestly, but it's not as bad as it was the other night. Alright, well, it's a little bit of progress, and at least it's not in, like, 144 or whatever. So Mac app that routes our audio from system to apps, not sure how it works, but yeah. Well, the other thing I have to work on is what I wanna do is figure out how to stream independent of, StreamYard, and I did figure this out last week. I worked through doing it through, OBS, and the quality will be really good if I do that. I can set up all kinds of fun things on screen. Yeah, challenging when you have guests because, then you have to, like, do it through Zoom and then route the audio through Zoom, which I've actually done before recording, so it's just to bring it to a different place. Yeah, Peter, I might reach out to you about that. That's, folks or so people can see who I'm talking to. Yeah, gonna go for it. Peter does a real great job with Jackson and Aaron, and, I may reach out to you, just to help me walk through some of this stuff just because, StreamYard usually works fine, but sometimes it's just not really good enough. So, it's the quality is not great, and it doesn't give you a lot of flexibility in terms of settings. So, yeah. Well, so, chat, how has the sound been since we had this short conversation about turning down the mic sensitivity? Because if it's been okay, what I'll do is we'll just hang out for a little bit and we'll just make sure it's okay. But oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's just a text. I know. Sorry, I'm not doing a real show tonight. It's just trying to make sure everything works fine. And I can't just do it for 30 seconds and be off. I have to make sure it works for a prolonged period of time, which means we're just gonna sit. So what I am gonna do, because I have, like, real work I have to do, so what I might do is I have PowerPoint open over here. I got stuff I gotta work on for my lecture on Tuesday, and, actually, you know what? Let me see if there's a way I can adjust the mic settings. Oh, now it's muting a bit as you talk. Yeah. Okay, maybe I can turn the mic volume down on StreamYard. Maybe do that a little bit. Um Oh, I bet it is. I bet it's echo cancellation. Echo cancellation was on. I bet that was causing it. So I turned the mic down and obviously it got a lot quieter. Um, so I can turn that back up, but I did not have, let me turn it back up to that about. I did not have reduced background noise on, but I did have echo cancellation on. So I've now turned that off. And I did in StreamYard turn the mic volume down, and you'll hear it go back up in a sec. So that should be better now. Did it go back up? Everyone hear it okay? What do we think? I it seems okay on my end, but what I'm hearing when YouTube is open is not always the same as what everyone else is hearing. Volume is still low. Okay. Putting the mic gain at 40% is the sweet spot. Yeah, 2 out of 6 is about 40%, so that'll do. And then I think that's right. Okay, let me go into my system settings and let me futz around there because I can go into system settings and do it that way. Sound input. We're looking at this one. Oh, the input volume is super low in that. It's at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's at like 10%. So I'm going to turn that up to 40%. Oh, there we go. I just heard myself get loud, right? Everybody hear that now? I'm definitely louder than I was. Okay, so that's nice and clear. It's a question of will it stay? Now it's too loud. Well, you just, all right, let's try 35%. Let's put it about there. The question is this, I'm not worried about the volume because it's easy to adjust volume, but we need it to not cut out, right? That's the thing I got to get here. Who's my, I'm afraid to ask, who's my famous relative that recently died? You know what? This is a good opportunity to to speak of my relatives. This is after I get an answer here. Uh, I'll tell the story of my not famous relative, my family history. It's kind of a funny story. Because you know people know my name. It's not like I can dox myself here. Uh, Claudia Cardinal. I honestly don't know who that is. Turning off echo cancellation seemed to fix the issue. It did. It did. Hopefully that's it. So let me tell you all about and actually let me see before I do this. I'm going to see if I can find the audio the newspaper clipping here. Here it is. Got it. So let me tell you all this story here. Um, so my family. All right, I'm going to mute myself on YouTube because it's annoying to talk while I'm hearing myself in delay. If you want to cater to those, mute when sipping the beverage. I'm sorry. That's a good point, and I apologize. Okay. I'll try to refrain from doing that. That's a good point. I'll try to remember. Okay, so here, I'm going to share my screen here because I'm going to tell you all this story because it's a good family story for me. So my little bit of background, my family on my dad's side is Italian, New Jersey, so Newark, and then moved west. If you're familiar with the geography, so Newark is in Essex County, New Jersey, a little bit west of New York City, and then there's a bunch of suburbs to the west of that after the riots in the 1960s, there's white flight out of the city into the slightly western suburbs there. So Italian family in Newark in the mid 20th century, almost without exception, there's going to be somebody who is connected in the family. And in my family, that was, I forget the exact relation. I think it was like my grandpa's cousin or something, but, you know, it would be for me like great uncle, something like that. There was this guy named Bill Jinks. Bill Jinks Cardinal. By the way, as I'm telling this story, feel free to just continue commenting on the audio quality because I want to make sure that it sounds approximately okay. So this is a good test case to use for the audio. I'll tell the story of Bill Jinks Cardinal here. So, and by the way, I apologize for anyone not familiar with North and Central Jersey geography, but the story will make more sense if you're familiar with the geography. Now, let me preface this by saying that I grew up in North Jersey in one of the towns where they filmed The Sopranos. Like that's it's all in there, right? The Soprano house was like a few miles from my house where I grew up, and you watch that opening montage to The Sopranos where they're on the turnpike with the drive safely oil container things, and it gets closer and closer. when it gets like really close to where the house is, like I know all those roads because that's where I grew up. So it's just yeah. So so going back decades, so my uncle Bill Jinx Cardinal, great uncle Bill here. Uh, Bill Jinx Cardinal was kind of a low level enforcer guy, like a strongman, an arm twister kind of guy, big dumb guy, right? Who, if you owed money, he would go and whack you with a baseball bat or something. That kind of guy. And as you can imagine, he was not good at his job because his nickname in the crew was Bill Jinx, which is not a good nickname to have if your profession is organized crime, right? No one's going to want to work with the guy nicknamed Jinx. So one day, basically, he screwed up one too many times, and there was also like some rumors of an affair with some boss's wife or whatever, something, I don't know. So he was given an assignment. Basically, he was like, look, you got to take this thing and you got to bring it down there. So he had to take something, a package, whatever, from Newark and bring it down to Asbury Park in south central Jersey, kind of by the beach. It's a shore town. And so he never made it. He's driving south and he never made it. And the way the story goes is that this is around the time, this was in the 50s, where they were like building various highways and stuff. And as I understand it, this was around the time they were building the New Jersey Parkway, the Garden State Parkway that runs north-south basically along the eastern edge of New Jersey. So it goes from Cape May at the south all the way up the Jersey Shore, and then it cuts kind of inland a little bit at like the Raritan Bay area, and then continues going up from there through Bergen County and up all the way to New York. So taking this down, across the Raritan River, and then the big exit right across the Raritan River. This is where the New Jersey geography comes in. It's exit 117. There's a big toll plaza there now, where it's got like 15 lanes, and you go through and do the tolls. And so he never made it to Asbury Park, but they found the car in like the marshy brush, like 100 yards off the recently constructed highway on the way to Asbury Park. So he disappeared. They found his car. They never found him. And the if you know anything about organized crime in the United States, a lot of times they're involved in things like construction, and that's an easy way to like launder money is you get like corrupt construction contracts and whatever. And so the rumor and the thinking is that he was stopped on his way down, and Uncle Bill is under the parkway, is the story. So I'm going to show you a newspaper clipping from the time, because this is such like a mid 20th century newspaper thing. This is, I swear to you, this is a real newspaper clipping. This is from the Asbury Park Press from 1952 or something. So da, 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 da. Hang on, sorry, I was just reading a little bit of the article here. Let me just share this for you all. Is sound okay as I went through that story? Sound all right? Yeah, you didn't expect a real life mafia story. Hey, Italian family from North Jersey, dude. Gonna have a mafia story in the family. It's just how it goes. All right, let me show you this article because let me tell you. Let me just share my screen here. Share the screen window. Here you go. This is it. I want everyone to just appreciate the headline of this article right here. Check this out. Bill Jinx has him guessing. That's the article with Uncle Bill, and that there he is right there. So he looks exactly like I described earlier, right? It's kind of a low-level kneecapper kind of guy. And first word, strong arm, artist believed dead or hiding out in Florida. It's just, there you go. That's the story of Uncle Bill. And you can kind of read this. It's not the best quality picture here, and I blew it up to be a little bit bigger. But let's see. What does it say here? Connected with Cardinal. The operation is something black market sugar something gambling enterprises. Yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah, the door handle on his car was damaged. Yeah, so that's the story of Bill Jinks Cardinal, and that's a nice opportunity to test the audio there. So I hope you all appreciated hearing that one. A little bit of family history for you there. Has the audio pretty much been okay since I took off the echo cancellation? Because I think that might have been it. That might have been the problem. Wow. Yeah. Uh-huh. Well, you know what? I appreciate that. Considering it was free, I would hope that it was worth it because it didn't cost anything to hear that story. All right, folks. So I'm going to give this a few more minutes. So I don't know. Oh, why does my okay? That seems okay to me. I'm going to check it on YouTube. The sound seems okay to me, and it's nice to hear other people saying it sounds fine. I think the echo cancellation might have done it. I really think that might have been it. What's the story? Oh, great question. What's the story behind You Will Be Warm Again? So the story behind that is up there. That's my Sanders shelf. So that's my Brandon Sanderson shelf with all the Cosmere books. So a little background. Sanderson is a fantasy author who writes at least one novel per year. His level of output is ridiculous, and his two main series are Mistborn and Stormlight Archive. And the we don't have to go into it, but it's this whole big interconnected fantasy universe. Anyway, in the Stormlight Archive book 4, actually in all the books, but this one is relevant for book 4, there's a character named Wit. He's Hoyd throughout the books, but his title in Stormlight Archive is Wit. And that man is as prolific as Stephen King, but with less cocaine. Accurate. And even less caffeine, because he's Mormon. Uh, and so basically, this guy Wit, he's always telling a story that has some lesson in it to the various characters in the books. And so in book 4, which is Rhythm of War, which you can see, it's right above the whiteboard. That white thing right there, that's the whiteboard comic book. And then it's right there, that's Rhythm of War. It's the 4th book in the Stormlight Archive. And so Wit is telling this story called The Dog and the Dragon. And basically, it's about a dog who wants to be a dragon, and it can't be a dragon. It ends up doing some good stuff anyway. And then at the end of the story, basically, the dog is all warm, and the family loves him, and yada, 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 whatever. But then the line comes from after the story when Wit is talking to the other character, and he's saying, look, I can't promise you you're always going to be warm. I can't promise you that every day is going to be warm. In fact, I can promise you that you're going to be cold. Life is going to be hard. Stuff sucks. But I can also promise you that you will be warm again. And somebody made this on Reddit. Somebody made that art of for the story, The Dog and the Dragon, with the line "You will be warm again," and it's just nice to have as a reminder. And then over here, we have Napoleon's invasion of Russia. Yes, good eye. Raise your hand, class, if you recognized that as Napoleon's invasion of Russia. I'll show you why I have that on here. I will show you exactly why I have that on here because of a very specific reason. And I might have an actual picture of it. See if I have a good picture of this. If I don't, I can find it real fast. Give me a second, everybody. I'm going to find a picture of this. I could put it up on screen and narrate it for you, because it's really cool in terms of just being a graphic that's basically perfect. So here we go. Yeah, that's high enough resolution, so we'll use this one. Let me just save that. Yeah, this is by a map maker named Menard. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to put this on screen because we can talk about this one. Here we go. We'll put this up there. Okay, here we go. Never get involved in land war in Asia. Yeah. Silly Napoleon. Okay, so what's going on here? So this is a, unless you're the Mongols. Good point. Good point. The lesson for them was don't get involved in a land war outside of Asia. I muted the mic there. When I took a sip, I muted the mic. So let's talk about this this figure, because this is basically the first infographic, and it is almost perfect as a visual representation of information. There's so much information in here, and it's so crystal clear. So I want to go through this and show you just how much information you can get out of this with a few different ways of showing the information and just two colors. Okay, so check this out. So this is a figure and a map of Napoleon's invasion of Russia. So first thing that you get out of it, two variables right off the bat, location in 2 dimensions, right? So you have X and Y, it's a map. You can see the rivers, you can see various cities noted. So it is a map. You are getting the physical location of Napoleon's army in 2 dimensions, right? X and Y, longitude, latitude. Now, the second thing here is the size of the army. The width of the line indicates the size of the army. And periodically, it'll have numbers, right? So you can look and see the numbers as you go, how many troops there are at each stage. The color indicates the direction. So tan is marching into Russia, black is the retreat back to France. Okay, so we've got how many variables so far? We have 2 dimensions for location. We have the width for the size of the army. We have the color showing the direction of the army. So we've got 4 variables already. But we also have, check it out, we have temperature right here. This is showing the average temperature on that day for the retreat when it was the winter coming out of Russia and Napoleon's army was like starving and not equipped for handling a winter. You can see went from a lot of people to not a lot of people, even though they weren't actually fighting any major battles. That was because winter. And here's the temperature, and it's 5, what do we got? 15, 30 degrees, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. So it's 0. This line right here is 0 degrees Fahrenheit. And then this is all below 0. So you can see it's 1812, and now it's below 0 degrees Fahrenheit for however long that is, right? Are there dates? Oh yeah, there are dates, right? Are there dates? I think there are dates. I think those are dates. Yeah. Yeah, it's the temperature and the date. So you've got location in 2 dimensions, size of the army, direction of the army, temperature, date, 6 variables on here. Tells the story. It's just a beautiful figure. It tells the whole story of that invasion crystal clear with a very cleanly, right? There's for those of you who know Dr. J. Bundy, he used the phrase, and I have since stolen it from him, the ratio of ink to information. There's an extremely high ratio here of ink to information. right? That's the whole thing. So whenever I'm working on figures, when I'm doing visuals for my classes, I keep this in mind, and that's why I keep it behind me, right? Uh, I love this because this is how I aspire to be able to make graphics like this that show things so crystal clearly. And I'll give you an example here. I am going to take this down. I'll give you an example of something I just did in class last week. By the way, is the sound okay? Edward, oh man, hang on. I gotta just, here we go. There it is. Edward Tofty called it the best statistical chart ever. Edward Tofty is the prophet of my religion. I worship at the altar of Edward Tofty. Okay, like he is my guy. Yeah, so he's got a number of books. Edward Tofty has a number of books. The most famous of which I believe is called the visual display of quantitative Tofty visual display of quantitative information is his like most famous book, and it's just great. And there's so many little tricks you can use to make your figures look clean. For example, instead of using a bar graph with the bars, and so you have like bars and then error bars, and like that's a lot of ink. Who cares about the bar? Just have the y-axis, and I've done this in my paper. Like I have a paper that I wrote in graduate school where I did this, where it's just have a y-axis, and then instead of the bars with an x-axis that's labeled, just have floating points with the error bars, and each one of those is labeled. So much cleaner, same amount of information, right? Really, really nice stuff. So let me, I'm going to show you an example of this that I try to keep in mind when I am teaching, because this is a class I did just last week. Just a couple days ago I did this. So I redid, I'm in my biochemistry unit right now. So I had just redone for this semester. I did I gotta clear, we gotta put that down. I'm gonna share a different screen here. We did photosynthesis, which is challenging. Photosynthesis is hard. So I'm gonna show you some figures I did for photosynthesis. This is the overall photosynthesis equation right here. Actually, it's funny. I got to get rid of this slide. Boop. So this is the overall equation, and the color coding just shows you what's going on there. But I'll show you basically this figure is the whole that's not the one I wanted. Oh, this is the bad one. This is the bad place. Hang on. Sorry, this is the wrong version. I got to take that down. That's the bad version. That's not the final version. I had an even better version. Let me fix that. Hang on a minute, everybody. It's a good thing this isn't a real stream. This is just us hanging out. While I'm pulling up my thing, how's the sound? Everyone good? And the ship next to the X-Wing over there, it's Mandalorian. That's a Razor Crest right there. Okay, here we go. Now I got the good version. Let me find this. That's the good stuff. Yeah, that's it. Okay, here we go. We'll do this. So let me, good. The sound's great. The sound is good. I think we solved it, everybody, and I appreciate your help. Hang on, I want to scroll back up, and I want to find the person who suggested fixing the thing. Here we go. Background noise, breakup. I want to find the person who said, yeah, so, okay, so Peter, and then, yeah, I think it was the background noise and the echo probably did it. Getting rid of the automated cancellation made it all better. Okay, so let me just show you all what I'm talking about when I'm talking about making figures clean, right? And maximizing the efficiency of the information here. And actually, I need to pull up one more thing before I do this. So hold on a sec. Let me pull up the textbook. And I'm going to show the textbook figure plus my figure because They're different. And that's the key thing I want to illustrate here. So we show the textbook figure first. I have to find the photosynthesis chapter in the textbook. Here it is. Photosynthesis. I have to find the figure because I don't use the figure. Here we go. Okay, here we go. This is a good example. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to share a couple things here. So first, share screen. I'm going to share the figure from the textbook. This is the figure in the textbook right here. This is the textbook figure of what's called the light-dependent reactions of photosynthesis, and specifically, this is called linear electron flow. And it's called that because it's a little hard to see in this, but you start right here, you steal electrons from water, and the electrons, if you follow the arrows, go all the way through and they end up over here in NADPH. Now, this is the figure from the textbook. I'm not going to use this in class because this has way too much information. And what I want my students to be able to follow is, for these reactions, you need to follow the electrons and the carbon. Not the carbon, sorry, the electrons and the energy. The energy comes in the form of sunlight, here and there. And the electrons absorb the energy, and then we take that energy and we use it to make glucose later on. So the key thing is light energy into electrons, store the energy for later use. There's a lot in this figure, a lot of ink in this figure that doesn't serve that purpose. So that's the figure that the textbook has. I'm not using it. I'm using a different figure. Let me just get a text message here, sorry. Oh, folks, I got to end this. Kids are having trouble sleeping, which means I got to go. So I'm just going to very quickly show you my figure, and then we're gonna end this show for tonight. It seems like the sound issue has been solved. So anyway, here's my figure of the same processes, just a lot cleaner, highlighting exactly what it is that is shown. Let me just show you here that its energy is in orange. I should scroll up a tick here and show, we don't need carbons for this part, but it's energy in orange, electrons are magenta. And then right here, we've got energy in, and then the electrons, the reduced state for everything is in the top row. The oxidized state for everything is in the bottom row. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. We cover it in class before this. And this shows all the same information in that figure I just showed you, but it clearly shows what I want to get across to the students with a lot less ink. That's the point. Efficiency in your visual communication. Folks, that's where we're going to end this. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Thank you for helping me troubleshoot the mic issues. I think we're all good. Stay healthy, everybody, and I will see you next time. Good night, everyone.